We're going to cross now live to Gaza, where a health ministry spokesperson has just begin speaking. Let's listen in.
52 martyrs lost their lives and 669 wounded. These massacres are still ongoing, and the occupation, the Israeli occupation, is still committing its massacres and is still targeting every single thing in Gaza Strip. The appetite of the Israeli occupation is still ongoing. Ethnical cleansing is still ongoing, and anything that is not Jewish is targeted and has been targeted. The Israeli occupation has also targeted the Orthodox Church in the center of Gaza. Until now, 16 martyrs have lost their lives from our Christian brothers who have resorted to this church for protection. They used, and the world is used to protect the civilians, particularly in the churches and mosques where people resort to. The Israeli occupation, through this brutal massacre, to change the rule of protection in the churches and in the mosques. It is a 1,700 years old church in Gaza Strip. The Israeli occupation has turned this church into a cemetery that includes 16 martyrs, and more other people are under the rubble. Dozens of people were injured, and they are now in the Shifa medical complex. Tens of families are there in the churches, and they fall victims to the Israeli racism and ethnical cleansing done by the Israeli occupation and leaders and commanders of the Israeli occupation. Today, we say this massacre is similar to other massacres in Gaza Strip, where families, complete families, like Sur family, that have been eliminated from the books. At-Tarzi family, they are all dead. The names are not there in the recordings. These families have gone totally. Other families are under the rubble. The massacre of the Orthodox Church in Gaza Strip is an indication that the Israeli occupation is going non-stop in targeting all the sanctuaries, mosques or churches. And this massacre comes only hours, 2 days after targeting the al-Mamadani Ali Hospital near the Orthodox Church. And this massacre in Al-Ali Mamadani Baptist Hospital cannot be imagined under any circumstances, even in the Hollywood movies. This massacre of the Baptist Church resulted in 471 martyrs who lost their lives, 28 in critical situation in intensive care units, 314 other people are wounded in different cases within this only massacre. The Israeli occupation on the 14th day 4,137 martyrs, including 1,661 children, 13,260 wounded people, including more than one injured of women, 1,000 and more civilians are also victims. The massacres committed by the Israeli occupation against the Palestinian families, including the Christian families, during the massacre of the Orthodox Church in Gaza, resulted in where the Palestinian blood, Muslim or Christian blood, are together 551 massacres, resulted in 3,009 martyrs. Also, the Ministry of Health in Gaza Strip are still receiving calls about the missing, those people who went missing. More than 4,000 inquiry. The Israeli occupation is still committing massacres against the Palestinian people in Gaza Strip, in different places and in different ways, against the churches, against the mosques. The Israeli occupation hits hospitals without differentiating between government hospitals, Orthodox churches, mosques here and there. Everything has been targeted in the Gaza Strip, which means that the Israeli occupation doesn't want anyone in Gaza. The Israeli occupation doesn't want Muslims or Christians in Gaza. This is ethnic cleansing by the Israeli occupation and the Israeli leadership and the Israeli mentality in general. The Israeli occupation, through this ongoing aggression against Gaza Strip and through cutting off water, electricity, preventing fuel to the hospitals in Gaza, targeting the health centers and health facilities in Gaza, targeting medical teams in Gaza. This has led to 7 hospitals are out of service now in Gaza Strip. 7 main hospitals are now out of service, and 21 health centers are out of service. 46 of the medical teams have lost their lives. 23 ambulances have been destroyed and been out of service totally. What's going on in Gaza Strip is a big massacre against our Palestinian people, against the Muslims and the Christians of the Palestinian people. And this indicates that Israel is undoubtedly going on to commit more massacres, and the international world is witnessing and seeing. That's why we seek protection to our Muslims and Christian Palestinians. We want protection to our medical teams in Gaza Strip, and we want protection to the health centers and health institutions for Muslims and Christians in Gaza Strip. We urge the international community to practice more pressure on Israel not to target the ambulances, and we need the supplies to arrive in Gaza hospitals because there is a sort of drought now in Gaza hospitals. No fuel, no medical supplies, no medicines, and there is no time, no enough time for the medical team to work. We all say that the services of the medical teams in the hospitals are of no way because the hospitals are now out of service due to the Israeli aggression, and we couldn't treat the injured people in Gaza Strip. The health ministry in Gaza is not able to fix the problem and to treat the injured and to treat the wounded. Operations are being done on the floor, on the ground, on the corridors of the hospitals, and these medical teams are now having tents outside the hospitals in order to receive the wounded and the injured and the victims of the Israeli occupation. That's why we urge to rescue and save and protect the health situation in Gaza that is now deteriorating. The coming hours are very critical for the medical teams because they are in a race against the clock to do the operations and to rescue the victims and to treat the injured. We need fuel, we need supplies, and peace be upon you all.